Mixties presents the Popcast.
And I said to myself, what a wonderful
Hello and welcome to Mixties presents the Popcast. I'm the one and only Brian Bex Montgomery, and I'm here with my brother and my partner, Shane, Mr. No Middle Name Montgomery, and you're listening to, once again,
Crowd goes wild.
Mixtees.com presents the Popcast, the place to learn interesting factoids about pulp culture and more. So, Shane, I think today's topic is pretty awesome. It's something that people see a lot in movies and TV, where the main character, or one of the sub-characters will break character and come out of script and sort of talk to the audience. You've probably seen it.
Freeze. Okay, listeners out in podcast land, I'm talking to you directly now. Brian is frozen. His mouth is kind of half open. It looks like maybe a piece of food in his mustache. What I'm doing right now is called breaking the fourth wall by talking directly to you. That's what he was about to say, but he always gets to talk, so I thought I'd demonstrate what he was about to tell you. Okay, he's going to be really mad, but this is going to be hilarious. Okay, unfreeze.
And the actor and the actress, they break from the actual script. What are you laughing at?
Sorry, man, I couldn't help it. I went ahead and had a little fourth wall breaking moment with our audience and froze you.
What?
Yeah, man.
You fourth walled me, bro?
Yeah, I fourth walled you, and by the way, you got something in your mustache.
What's in my mustache?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't like that. I didn't even know you could do that. You got some Zach powers from Saved by the Bell.
From
or
Saved by the
something?
Bell, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So what we're talking about is the fourth wall, and apparently Shane defined it for you.
No, I didn't define it. I saved that for you, brother.
Oh, okay. 'Cause I didn't know what you said because I was frozen.
I know
apparently.
you looked like your mouth was. It was awesome.
Okay.
That's good.
The fourth wall is simple. The term came about in the 60s, but before that, in theater, even 100 years ago in theater, in silent films, people were breaking away from the script, or what looked like they broke away from the script, from the action of the movie, to address the audience.
Right.
Whether it was movies or actual plays, they would do that, and a lot in musicals, that was a thing they did.
But why do they call it? But why do they call it the fourth wall?
Because in the 60s, when they started using pop-up sets, the sets are built around 3 walls to show you the inside of a room. Well, the fourth wall is usually an empty space where the audience is looking into that room. So there's 3 walls, and the fourth wall is an imaginary wall, and the characters usually play around that imaginary wall, and they act as if it's there. When the character breaks from the action and addresses the audience, what he's doing is he's addressing the fourth wall.
So the fourth wall would be, let's say in a movie, the camera.
The camera, yeah. In the movie, would be the camera. In a play, it would be the audience.
The audience. Okay, that's awesome.
So in a movie, it's also the audience, because we're looking at what the camera is looking at, right?
Like breaking the fourth dimension, the fourth wall. Nice.
Right. So they acknowledge the fact that this is a work of fiction, or what's happening around them is a script, and they talk to the audience. Usually, it's used a lot in comedy to deliver a punchline, or to speak to the audience when there is no character that represents the audience.
Right. And it seems like breaking the wall is mostly used for laughs nowadays. It seems to be that serious wall breaking just really doesn't happen that often.
No, it doesn't. But I mean, it did happen in movies like what's that movie with Fight Club?
Oh, Fight Club, yeah.
Right, it happened a lot, and I like the way
Edward Norton and Brad Pitt.
I recently watched the scene where, when he did break the fourth wall, he broke not just the fourth wall, but he was like moving the camera frame, like he's taking the film itself and adjusting that when he's talking to you. So it's very psychedelic.
So that's interesting because they do talk about different ways you can break the fourth wall. The most direct way is talking directly to the audience, but also, those shots where all of a sudden you're watching the action and it pans back and all of a sudden you see like the cameraman and it shows the set.
Like Wayne World.
Exactly. That's a way of breaking the fourth wall.
Wayne's World.
Wayne's World, yeah. We should talk about, go ahead and talk about a few of the movies that have broken the fourth wall.
So Wayne's World is one of my favorite, and the only one that was on the list initially that I recognized immediately as breaking the fourth wall because he did so obviously. But
That was in 1992 with Mike Myers, right?
yes, Mike Myers. The camera pans back and shows the camera and shows like the craft food table, and
Yeah,
he
that
looks
was
at the audience. He says something along the lines of, we never take sponsorships deals. This is real. And he's holding up a Pizza Hut pizza box, and then he looks at the camera and goes, "Yum."
He has so many awesome moments in that movie where he's looking at the camera and just kind of giving you this look.
Yeah.
When he's sitting there with his girlfriend, the rock star.
Whatever
I can't remember her
name
name
is,
was. Yeah.
Also, another comedy. It's more subtle, breaking the fourth wall, but it was actually used specifically to deliver a punchline. In Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Ben Affleck says, "Who would want to watch a Jay and Silent Bob movie?"
I love
and
that
all
movie.
three of them look at the camera and smile.
Right.
So that was the only time they broke the wall in that movie, but that was breaking the fourth wall and almost making fun of us, like we're watching a Jay and Silent Bob movie.
Well, and that is a good indication. So when you're breaking the fourth wall, the most important aspect to that is that the audience is aware that they are now the focus of attention.
Right.
So that's really the key to it, because there's a lot of cases when people seem like they're going to break the fourth wall or they do something, but maybe they're side discussing, but it's not directly to the audience. So they're doing maybe what you call leaning on the fourth wall,
right?
Where they reference something that might be external to the movie, but yet not directly to the audience,
right? Or like a plot device.
Okay, perfect.
Like the recent movie Deadpool, the audience was a character in the movie, almost, because he used breaking the fourth wall as a plot device to drive the movie forward. It was more than narration; it was literally breaking the fourth wall. There was an actual action figure of Deadpool in one of the shots. He discusses previous movies that the actor had played in. It was extreme fourth wall breaking.
And it seemed to really drive in the comedy of the movie.
Right.
I mean, it was almost that moment where the audience could take a breath and laugh from the action, take a step back away. It really added to the overall performance of the whole film.
Yeah, you become invested in it. Well, see, as a plot device, too, TV has been using it for a long time. Like we referenced Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell, and he had this superhuman ability to literally freeze time.
The early 80s kid show.
Right.
Yeah.
Address the audience, explain his motivations, his thoughts, what was happening, unfreeze time, and continue on with the script. That was a big part of that TV show. Other TV shows have followed suit, and especially recently, even non-comedies use fourth wall breaking as a point of narration in order to narrate the wall or lean on the fourth wall to narrate the story and move the plot forward. Like a lot, actually. House of Cards with Kevin Spacey does it. That's the point of the show. The only way that show goes forward is if him explaining his motivations. Right. House of Lies does the same thing with Don Cheadle. That's how they explain the motivations to you,
so
and then brag about it.
So would you say that it's become more useful in recent years, or people are utilizing it more as a plot device?
A cheap plot device.
Okay.
It's actually a very cheap plot device. You don't have to film all of this. You don't have to make sure the character can understand what's happening via flashbacks and whatnot. All you have to do is freeze time and have the character tell you this is what's happening. It's the easiest way, the cheapest way to move a narration forward.
It definitely gets the job done.
Yeah. Well, that's why a lot of these shows do it on Netflix that are funded by Netflix, by Hulu. These Yahoo funded series on like Community. They use a lot of bottlenecking in order to keep on the budget, and one of those bottleneck tactics is breaking the fourth wall and moving the plot forward and defining the narrative without actually filming anything.
Well, specifically in television, I wonder what you think about the fact that reality TV has been a huge thing in the last couple decades. And do you think that more TV shows go to that device to kind of compete with the whole reality TV thing, to bring the audience even more into it as opposed to being just a viewer or a voyeur? They're actually more of a participant in what's happening. I know Modern Family is one of my favorite sitcoms out right now, and it's a constant thing where they deadpan to the camera as if to say, really, audience, look at this.
Well, The Office is what started doing that. It's using that reality show sort of single camera moments where they explain their motivations or their problems with something to the audience like a reality show would. The Office started doing that after reality shows did that, and it was a really good way to drive a narrative home, right? Drive a narrative home while making a joke and while being more connected to that character. But reality shows are based on that. Like, they're based on that.
What you were describing right now, I guess they call a mockumentary. So,
Right.
We can thank our engineer Taylor for that little piece of information.
Well, the real world, like those single camera moments where they drag one of those people into a booth where they go, "Oh, but Chrissy, she took all the alcohol," and you become more a part of the story and Kelly's story, whoever it is you're talking to.
Did you just say she took all the alcohol?
Whatever. I've never seen a single episode of Real World, but I
Right.
understand how a reality TV show works. And The Modern Family, The Office, Parks and Recs, single camera comedies, they tend to do that a lot now too.
So, as motivation goes, Annie Hall was a movie that was back in 1977. Woody Allen, a lot of people have seen his movies. It's kind of a little old now, but in the movie Annie Hall, Woody Allen broke the fourth wall several times in this movie, and he explained that, he said, because I felt many of the people in the audience had the same feelings and the same problems, I wanted to talk to them directly and confront them. So he was using it as a way to draw the audience in, but it was also a way to make sure that they could share the experience that he wanted to get across to them. So it seemed like it was
Yeah, I've never seen that I remember a single Woody Allen film. I've seen a lot of scenes from Woody Allen movies, and one in particular that I remember is when he's arguing with somebody about something intelligent, and he keeps telling the guy he's wrong, and the guy is arguing with him. So he walks off camera and grabs the actual author of the book that they're arguing for and brings him to explain that he's wrong. And then he looks at the audience and says, "Wouldn't it be nice if this was reality?"
nice.
Like, you can actually, when you have an argument, you can take that source material directly to the person you're arguing against. That scene really resonated with me. But for me, I didn't grow up watching Woody Allen. But maybe I should revisit those films.
Okay, then let's go with one that you do know. Let's go with Ferris Bueller's Day Off, 1986. Matthew Broderick. It's voted as probably the number one fourth wall broken movie
Until Deadpool came out.
Probably until Deadpool. Yeah,
Right.
that one will probably beat it. But Matthew Broderick famously stayed home from school, pretended to be sick so he
Right.
could have his own day, and he really brought the audience into every moment of what he was doing, and it was a special movie.
The audience was a character in that movie. It was an observing character that he can explain things to. It's a great way. It's a great way to have an audience in the film without having an audience. So a lot of characters represent the audience. We've seen movies and TV shows where you can say immediately that character represents the audience, and them always having to explain things to that character or do things for that character to understand what's happening is our version of, we represent that character. We identify with that character. Well, there's movies that don't need that. By breaking the fourth wall, they can deliver that comedy to a character that represents the audience, us.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of movie makers have used the device, but probably nobody has used it quite as much or as well as Mel Brooks.
Oh yeah.
With Spaceballs and Blazing Saddles. There's a scene in Spaceballs that we were watching before the show where Rick Moranis, Dark Helmet, is watching the screen with his commander, and they're watching the video screen, and all of a sudden it's a screen within a screen within a screen. And Rick Moranis looks back into the camera, right? And it shows him looking back into the camera, and it's maybe that's more leaning on the fourth wall, but it definitely feels like
They
there's that play.
literally took the tape of Spaceballs out of the video closet and put it into the machine
Right.
to watch their own movie while it was happening. That's extreme fourth wall.
And that's how they found out they were down on the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
So they used that as an actual plot device, not to explain the movie, but to actually bring the narrative forward. That's impressive.
It's amazing.
I've never seen Blazing Saddles. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay, so Blazing Saddles.
I need to see it. Everybody tells me I need to see it.
Yeah, Blazing Saddles. You need to watch it with your oh my gosh ears because it's definitely a step in the different direction of political correctness. You're going to go back, and Mel Brooks, he pulled all the stops. Mel Brooks is Jewish, and so he thought it was a lot of fun to make fun of races and things like that. So you're gonna hear some things in there that may not be too pleasant.
Well, I'll watch it with my less sensitive friends then, I guess.
Yeah. So what else do we have here? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I think we've talked a lot about it, breaking the fourth wall. We can't talk about breaking the fourth wall without bringing up Austin Powers.
Oh, wow, yes. The spy who shagged me from 1999.
For a long time, while breaking the fourth wall was popular in TV forever, in movies it had definitely faded away. Austin Powers came out with this ridiculous comedy in the line of Mel Brooks and brought that same flavor back. It's almost like those kind of movies require a breaking of the fourth wall. And since then, we've seen that more and more in comedies, and now in movies like Deadpool, which I guess would be classified as a comedy.
Deadpool comedy? Yes, a very graphic comedy. A lot of dying.
Austin Powers, in his version of breaking the fourth wall, reminded us how ridiculous what we were watching was, and allowed us to accept its ridiculousness. Is that a word, ridiculousness?
Ridiculousness, yeah.
Accept its level of ridiculous and enjoy it as a film because it reminded us constantly that we were watching a movie.
Yeah, I think that was a special thing about Mike Myers and the movies that he made. He broke the fourth wall quite a bit, and it did allow us to really be able to enjoy the humor of the moment and what was happening.
Yeah, as a film and not as some serious piece of art.
Did you know that breaking the fourth wall goes way back to William Shakespeare as well?
Yep, I read that.
Their characters often addressed the audience. They broke it regularly in the ancient Greek theater. So, in fact, I guess you could say they're the ones who invented the fourth wall.
William Shatner. William Shakespeare invented the fourth wall.
William Shatner.
Sorry, not William Shatner. William Shakespeare.
Listen, we know you got Star Trek on the
I was
mind.
watching that movie you wanted me to watch last night, and it's stuck in my head. I don't need to finish it today. So, I mean, yeah, I think we've talked enough about breaking the fourth wall. You want to take some emails or something?
Yes, let's, the Popcast mail. We got an email from Carmen Souza.
Hey, Carmen.
Hey, Carmen. And she says, hey, Brian and Shane, I listened to your episode about the Force and just wanted to add a thought. I am a huge and rare fan of the prequels.
What the heck?
Yeah, well, somebody's got to be a
All
fan.
right, all right.
I think Shane mentioned that the Sith are evil, but I wanted to point out that Anakin Skywalker wasn't evil. He wanted to bring his mother back to life, which was dangled in front of him by Emperor Palpatine. So I would argue that Darth Vader wasn't really evil, but he was a Sith. What do you guys think? I love the show. I hope this is the beginning of a lot of shows to come. Carmen.
Well,
What do you think, brother?
I think you were definitely pushing the evil thing for the Sith. I mean, yes, they're evil by our standards, but I think to the Sith, not to all Sith are evil. I think they were following different paths of the Force. You can say good versus evil, or you can say logical, scientific, versus passionate, anger, emotional. Different sides of the same coin. Now, because of the passion and the emotion, I guess some of them turned into evil a-holes. But if you look at the the extended canon, there were Sith that were considered Sith because they used the dark side of the Force, but they didn't do evil things.
Okay, I see your point. Yeah, I guess, Carmen, this is what I would say. Anakin wasn't evil, but Darth Vader was. Anakin wasn't a Sith, but Darth Vader was. So wrap your mind around that one.
Yeah, and Darth Vader was evil. So, anyway, well, thank you, Carmen. We appreciate your email, and if you want to send us a message for this podcast, please do at popcast@mixtease.com, and we look forward to reading your many emails over the podcast.
And Facebook and Twitter, you can reach us at
Mixtease, MIXEDTEES.
And you can also catch us at the Mixed Teas website. We'll be having the blog post. You'll be able to get it there as well.
Mixtease.com/blog. That's MIXEDTEES.com/blog.
Awesome.
Okay, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, see you next week.
Bye-bye.